Return from Moscow of former UPC rebels sent for military training. This article is taken from the CAR newspaper, Journal de Bangui. These ex-rebels of the Unite for Peace in the Central African Republic, UPC, just returned last week to Bangui, capital of the Central African Republic, CAR, after spending more than 3 weeks in a military training camp of the company Wagner in Russia. They will be deployed in the coming weeks in Mali, according to concordant sources. After leaving the Maquis en masse last year, about 100 rebel elements of the Unite for Peace and the Central African Republic, UPC, members of the Coalition of Patriots for Change, CPC, were recruited by the paramilitary company Russian Wagner. As they did exactly in Libya and Syria, these ex-UPC rebels are preparing to be deployed in Mali to fight the jihadists. But before their deployment in this West African country, which in recent years has become like a new jihadist battlefield, they had to be trained in the handling of Russian weapons supplied by Wagner and show them around. For the last time, for some of them, Moscow, capital of Russia. Thus, last month, several dozen were admitted to a military training center before returning last week to Bangui. According to the Wagner Company, they will be flown back to Bambari next week to bid farewell to their parents ahead of their deployment to Mali. For the Russian mercenaries, these ex-rebels are seasoned men. They are not afraid of death and know how to move tactically in combat. They are good at dealing with jihadists. But for some observers, the Central African terrain is totally different from that of Mali. Here, in the Central African Republic, we find savanna, forest, but not in Mali, which is a desert country, whereas the Fulani of Central Africa are accustomed to the forest. It's difficult to hide to fight the enemy. Also, you have to regularly pay attention to the second enemies, which are the scorpions found everywhere in the desert, declares a former Central African soldier. Recall that Mr. Kiri, the former bodyguard of rebel leader Ali Darassa, injured during the fight in Bambari last year, was one of the former UPC rebels recruited by Wagner in the Central African Republic.